not progress in the same way. It may not have started the same way, but the final outcome makes us feel the same way. Some of us will be more lost than the others. Others will be more pained than others, and others will just go numb. Now, how do I then get to fit in? It is when you start listening to their stories. The words they will express how they feel, they start relating, you start putting emotions and feelings to what you're feeling, and you've been unable to voice it out. So a tribe will be able to bring out in you emotions and feelings that are shared, and then you're able to vocalize them, and that's where you find healing, because now people can relate. What is it that you're feeling? And as much as I know we have overused the word safe space, it gives you that space of feeling needed, cared for, and people who will show up for you.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, anything that doesn't look like that, then that means it is starting to make you feel a bit jittery or uncomfortable. Back to you, Patrice.
Thank you so much, Nancy, for breaking that ice and giving us very valuable insights that a tribe is a tribe because of certain common values, and there is a center of confluence of interest between various individuals. But then let me bring in Councillor Kiari. Without throwing you off balance, I would say I'm in a tribe of thieves, and we see, in the Bible they normally say there's no honor among thieves. Now, there is this particular note that I've taken with young people, more or less my age and a little slightly young and slightly older, that majority of them, they do not belong in very strong, well-grounded communities or tribes for that matter. So what are these values and common interests that define an ideal tribe? Because you can say, I have a tribe, but this tribe tunaenda kupiga sherehe. That is also a tribe. Or we have a tribe, and then this tribe is to bigger road trips. We have a tribe, and all these tribes are based on facts and fleeting ideas. What are these particular values and common interests that can define an ideal tribe? To an extent, we now escape and stay inoculated on the situation that Nancy has alluded to earlier. As a case in point where a gentleman thought he had friends, then soon after the wife had left, he realized that he was surrounded by a pack of wolves. Then how do we crack this? Kiari.
Okay, thank you very much, Patrice. And now, understanding of a tribe, you have to look at the commonality. What are you coming together to do? What is your community based on? What are your values as individuals? So when we see people coming together and doing things that are not worthwhile, it means that their values are questioning. And we have to look at also now the healthy way of doing things together. And this comes in when now a person understands himself. A tribe comes in after you yourself has come to an understanding of who you are and what you're supposed to do as an individual, and your values, your principles, everything. So that now you can be able to find people who share the same values, who have the same commonality. And now to have the specific values that we need to have so that can have a healthy tribe that can promote positivity and can promote growth to an individual and also the group as a whole. We have to look at how well do a person understand himself. And now after understanding yourself, you have to associate yourself with people who are similar to you. The other thing that you have to look at is, are we empathetic? Do we feel with each other? Do we understand each other in this group? Because when you don't understand each other, we'll be in quarrel, we'll be in a conflict. So that conflict is the one that we have to check on. And we have also to have genuine concern on the other person. As Nancy has said, yes, she has described these two families. One family is not concerned about the person who is grieving, and the other family is concerned So do we have that common concern? We have the common concern with the individuals that are in our tribe, so that it can be healthy. The other thing, we have to be respectful to each other. We have to look at other people respectfully. We have to respect the boundaries of each person in this tribe or in this group or in the community as a whole. We also need to know that we have to appreciate everyone's differences, because people have differences and we have to appreciate their differences. We have to appreciate the special needs that they have. We also have to appreciate that we are from different areas in this world. We cannot do things in a particular way, all of us. So we have to know how to treat other people that are in our group. So the other things is honesty. We have to be honest with each other, because where there is truthfulness, there is openness. And that openness is the one that is required so that you can understand each member of this group or this community that you're living in. And from there, we look at communication. How well are you listening to the other person? How well are you valuing the other person as this person presents himself or herself? So you have to look at those things and try to understand the ways and the nature of communication as a whole. So that those values and those principles, small principles, bring us together. And when they bring us together, we grow together, because we are looking at now our mental health and our well-being, general well-being. How can we promote it? Because at some point through research, we find that when people are in quarrels or when people are in conflict, we find that even their health, their general health is interfered with. Their general health now goes down, and also mental illness is come in the process. Yeah, because they come after stress and also after tension. After tension creeps in. So without tension, without that chaos that comes in a group setup, you cannot find these illnesses, mostly mental illnesses. Yeah. So when we practice all these principles and we try to appreciate ourselves as individuals and also appreciate others and come in and share our strengths together with our differences, we appreciate our differences also. That way we'll be able to grow, and the tribe and also the community grows with us. So those are the qualities, some of the qualities, we can say some of the qualities that can hold on strong to, so that we can grow together in a tribe.
Thank you, Harry and Nancy, who came earlier. And now there's no better way to ask an individual the importance of belonging to a tribe than members of the esteemed forces, or what we would call in the Kenyan context, the Kenya Defense Forces. Now, Mr. Byron, sorry for always saluting you as a mister, even though you say in the army there are no ranks, and you are never a former you're never a former army man. You are always, the soldier is in you and he dies in you. And I see how connected you people are even years after service. Why is finding a tribe important for personal and professional success? Now that you have been in a situation where it is more institutionalized, it is more formal, there are structures, there are laws. Why is finding the sense of belonging within a community important for not only personal growth, but also professional success?
Well, thanks a lot, Patrice, for the question. And yes, you are absolutely right on the fact that we are a very tribeless society. And I think that that makes it antagonistic to the principles that have been highlighted by our able psychologists here. But to buttress that point, yes, the army is one of the strongest, organizations that exist on earth. By the mere fact that the esprit de corps, which you possibly replace with the word tribe, runs really deep. So it's a principle that, as I hear the psychologists here speak, I find quite some interesting concepts that are raised, but they all confluence at the same thing, which is how do we create a society that lives together, parties together, works together, and what the army pretty much calls, not leaving a man behind. And it's very interesting that perhaps when we walk this journey of togetherness, or what we call the esprit de corps, the implicit assumption is that everybody is the same, which is really quite impossible to find. So the very fact that humans are born differently, they're born different as well, and also born differently, means that right from the onset you find divergence. But in divergence is very strong points for convergence. Why do I say this? We talk about our diversity being our strength, but it's easier said than done. And why do we struggle with having to get those confluences within a very divergent kind of mishmash of things? Ordinarily you're born from different wombs, already born different tribes, if you were to talk tribes, or ethnicity, color, things like that. So already you're dealing with things that are completely different, and of course born different in different days, raised in different environments, perhaps also speaking different interesting languages. So the very fact that we have a lot of divergence can be a point of emanation of chaos. But why is it very interesting that within this divergence you can find convergence? I feel part of why we need to actually look at this thing differently, and the psychologists are raised it, shared interest. But shared interest as well is also very interesting from where I sit. Why? Because those interests can be fixed goalposts, but our motivations, our aspirations, our the whole outlook of life are already very different, as we did say at the beginning. So then it means, and it has been highlighted by the psychologists as well, it means therefore that we have to elevate our outlook, very general outlook and our worldview, a point where we step into every other person's shoes as well, which means we break down the walls of our nuances, which means we break down the walls of what psychologists also call the curse of knowledge. So the things that you know very well may not be very obvious to the other person. So which means you're crossing different bridges and of course narrowing the gap. So of course you're closing the gaps, you're building bridges. So I feel part of what we'd call shared interests, we can call them shared goalposts. Yeah, but obviously our pathways to getting to those goalposts could be very different because of all these differential makeups that we have as people, as ourselves. Of course, Mr. Kiari has also talked about the baseline, which is understanding yourself. And they say out there, interestingly, that before you go out there to get a friend, you got to be one. I totally agree with that. But in some cases, and I think right about now more than ever, in most cases, you can say that we are going through so much that the very fact that we are suffering from mental illnesses of sorts is in a very chaotic society as we have today, then it means that a lot of people are lost to begin with. So they don't understand themselves. So in which case, for you to think about shared interest, it means that you got to find another madman to be a madman to survive. So that shared interest, because a lot of people are out there. So in which case then, what does this mean in terms of shared interest? That we have to elevate our interest at that fixed goalpost. Where do we want to achieve elevated levels of mental wellness? Then the people that are in those spaces who possibly know themselves better are doing a lot better. Within this collective society which we feel has to have us behaving as brothers keepers, then it means that we have to extend our hands behind us and across our shoulders to grab the people that are possibly not able to find themselves so that they're able to find themselves. So what does that mean? We have to be very empathetic. We have to reach out. We have to build bridges so that we are able to help people who are in darkness in order to reach that point of elevation or light, as we say it. So then getting back to the army, how do we achieve this esprit de corps? They say lessons learned in pain are hardly forgotten. So the enforceability of this esprit de corps, the togetherness, the tribe, or what you call it, the culturing of a group of people that are originally very different, is supported by strong tenets that push you into a region where you build teams, whether you like each other, you don't, or you're not, whether they are tall and you're short and you're carrying a log on your shoulders and you go to actually drive it home together, then those lessons that are learned in very uncomfortable conditions make for really long-term memory, and they really build in us a level of understanding, a level of empathy, a level of strength in terms of character and mental strength, so to speak, that then force us to get into an enduring, baseline where the cornerstones of the tribe are really enforced. But in this contemporary society, we may not have that. We may not have the luxury of learning so many lessons in pain. But what I feel can be a substitute to the lessons learned in pain can be that elevated sense of thoughtfulness, that they could be portraying themselves as these people that isolate themselves, but why are they isolating themselves? So when we are brothers keeper, what we are called upon as a society is to elevate our sense of thoughtfulness about what other people are going through. Because ideally, if you're left in this world alone, it may not be livable. If you are left to actually be in your own world and up to your own schemes, it may not be livable. We need each other, and that's why I feel part of what the tribe needs to enforce is just that elevated level of thoughtfulness where we build bridges instead of cutting them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, succinctly put, and it has brought me to the question that I want to ask Ms. Nancy. Now, we've understood what a tribe is. So there is the value system around a tribe. There are also various definitions about tribes. There is no unanimity that has been, more or less created in definition of tribes and saying that this is the right way to go, this is the wrong way to go. But then there is the impact of two things. There's the impact of age, there's the impact of technology, and somewhat money. So let's put them at a baseline of 3. We've seen this impact very heavily interactions between various individuals, family level to even national level and international level. How do we leverage this other than waiting for this to break us down and waiting for this to tear us apart? How do we leverage this to make us even better, even stronger? Because right now, if you talk to a few men across the streets, they will tell you that one of the causes of disagreement could have been the use of technology, could have been the aspect of money, could have been that. So how do we leverage this particular set of strengths to better our tribes other than the current trend that we are seeing, that these particular strengths are now being used counterintuitively to break different tribes? Nancy.
Patrice, you see, to belong to a tribe, you will need to be very authentic with yourself. Like, you need to have this conversation within you where you what is it that I'm missing? Now, there's a problem where with the 3 facets that you've mentioned of money, age, and technology, there are these 3 facets that sometimes people use them to their self-destruction. So the question of being self-aware becomes very, very critical for you to even figure out, why do I need to be in this space? Why do I need to belong? Because you will notice people who, they really want to look like they are moneyed, and they will do things that are crazy. Either they take them to debts or they make their relationships fall out. So we are sometimes driven by our own innate needs as opposed to what is conventionally important. So I think what happens is that we go with what is trending at this point in time. And you see, that is why we will always have a common struggle at one given point in time. For example, the issue of technology has become quite common. Of people are no longer socializing the way they should because when we get together, gadgets come into our way. But then it has to be very conscious, determined that at particular points we need to have a sense of belonging away from things that distract us. When it comes to finances, we want to belong to a certain class, and these classes sometimes take away from us instead of giving. Tribes should, with all these descriptions we've given them, tribes should give you fulfillment that is not an instant gratification, something sustainable, something that you can rely on and say, this one is going to propel me. But the moment you know you're struggling, you can actually start telling that this is not gonna sustain me, this is gonna break me. Then it's time to tell yourself, I got into the wrong train. This was meant to be mine. Maybe initially I saw a facade, I followed it, but this is gonna break me. Some people don't have that self-awareness ability to determine and jump ship until it sinks. So from where I am in terms of how these tribes, when it comes to age, we also need to appreciate that we come from different seasons. And these different seasons may bring us together because we share a common belief, a common understanding, and probably we're also going through similar challenges that are associated with that particular cohort of age. So for me, self-awareness is very important, and being able to identify the why. What is your why that will make you go to that particular extent of wanting to belong to a certain particular category? So to me, that is how I would give my outlook. That's you, Patrice.
Nancy, based on that particular background, now moving into Kiari, and for this, I know ladies will start calling me and offering me their congratulatory messages because for the first time, they're seeing a woman on their side. But then if history has taught us anything, we have seen that women, time and again, without number, they have always been involved in this aspect of tribe or creating a sense of belonging, creating a community. This is more visible in our most social occasions. If somebody, God rest in peace, perhaps has gone to be with the Lord, you would normally find it's always the friends of the lady, it's always the friends of the woman, it's always the friends of the wife that come in to join these particular tribes. Notably, men are missing action. If we are isolated, as other scholars would put it, we are trees in a forest. Mr. Kiari, why is it that we are seeing these very wary trends among, and how can we as men, sooner than later, deal with this, inoculate this, and perhaps grow stronger rather than the other sense that we have heard from the community that is always suffer alone, die alone, suffer in silence. You don't belong to a tribe. You need to go in it alone. I don't carry.
Okay, thank you very much, Patrice. And when it comes to men, there is what we call individualism. They try as much as possible to stand alone, which is not a good thing at all. But for women, they took that initiative to be human, because we are usually told that human beings are social beings, and we cannot stand alone at all if we want to grow. So we find that these women come together in anything, not only in at times of grief. They have prepared even for that grief, even before it happened. They are able to come together and support themselves, and they know how to do it. And how to come to men and how they can grow together, or how they can come together, is when we lay down this individualism and try now to associate with each other, become social, because we are also social animals. We have to become social and to act as social beings. For women, and this now brings in the differences between us. There is that thing of inferiority. For them, they understand, the society has marked them as inferior. So they understand through that we have to come together so that we can be strong. But for men, we are termed as superior in a way. So the superiority complex also attacks us in a way. And it comes to haunt us when trouble comes, because you cannot do things alone. But for women, they are always prepared. They're always there for each other. They're always there to see what's happening to their fellow women. And I think that's what lacks in men. The vulnerability. You have to know that you're vulnerable, and you can need another person at any given time. not only when a trouble comes, but also even when you are in good times. We have to focus on how to bring in each and everyone together in our groups. And when we talk of tribes, again, I usually see that it's good for us not to bring this gender issue again. We have to come together as women, as men. All genders should come together and become one tribe. Yeah. And when I was looking at tribe, when I was sent now the topic, I was looking at tribe in two different ways. There's the tribe that now we know about, the common tribes that we know about. And there is tribe now, the group that you come in together and you help each other in hard times and also in good times. So focusing on communities that we create, I think all communities should have all genders without exclusion. But men, I don't know what to do about that. But we have to come up and try to change what we think about or what we believe in, because the belief of superiority, that is the danger that is bringing men down. I've heard stories that the old men, when they are left, they follow their wives. If a wife dies before an old man follows immediately. But when a wife is left, everybody is there for her, because a man believes that he is superior, he doesn't need help. But a woman believes that help comes from every other individual, provided she is surrounded by individuals, she will get help. So we have to put down that thought of superiority and focus on coming together and creating our tribes and making them strong and growing in them. So, Patrice, I hope that is loud and clear.
Well settled then. And at this juncture, I want to bring in Byron Adera, who is our chairman at a community that we know we are doing the very best we can to build tribes that are stronger, well-knitted among professionals and also every other person in our society. And this week, we have something special coming up. So, Byron Adera, without much ado, would you take it on, introducing our community and also this particular activity that we have before we end up to the next session of this particular webinar, which we want to now open up to the participants to more of us their thoughts and insights about this issue of tribe. How do they see it? What are the best ways that we can strengthen this, not only in Kenya, but even world over, because we are the salt of the world and we are there to shine a light in this very dark world. So, Byron Adera, take it on.
Thank you so much, Patrice. The Light We Carry, the book that was written by Michelle Obama, says it all. So that's exactly what the BA is all about. We are here to actually shine our light as bright as it can get, so that a lot of others are able to do the same. As I think it was Marianne, the famous quote that was popularized, I think, by Mandela. And which talks about how much we can do if we set ourselves free to get out there to shine as bright as we can, like all children are meant to be. It's not our darkness, but it's our light that most frightens us, as I said. So I sure hope that a lot of us that are within the BA tribe are people that come together, basically chasing that common interest to give light. I feel this as a triangle, just like the fire triangle as well, that there's the oxygen that feeds the fuel or the fire, and of course the fire consumes the fuel, and if you remove any part of that, then of course the rest get to suffer. So what we are doing with the BA challenge is we're creating avenues for people and pathways for people to actually recover, and part of the recovery is through sports, through getting to go out there into nature and into our environments to enjoy the richness of nature. And by so doing as well, we create that awareness. And, you know, when you love something, as my dad, God rest his soul in peace, used to say, if you love of flowers, you don't stop at pretty much just you know, tending your garden. You must also hate weeds. So which ideally also means that the things that threaten us as a human race, we must actually stand in the gap and hate that. So that means you have to protect our environment, you have to do this advocacy, you have to get up there. And as much as we are enjoying the nature of the sites we go to realize that there are people that threaten those environments. So the trio that family health and environment that we are chasing as the BA challenge, which are common interests for all of us here, are absolutely fundamental and important to our existence and survival. And you know, as you said, Patrice, our tribe, the BA tribe, which is actually BA, say BA is BA, are going to be trampling on Elephant Hill on the 7th, that is on this Saturday. So the doors are still very wide open. As a good family, no one is left behind. We'd rather carry people on our shoulders than to leave them behind if the buses are full. So this is an avenue to actually go out there, enjoy yourself, you know, take a break from life. Nancy and the rest of us, really rich experts here, will tell you how much it goes a long way if you take a break from life to actually just go out there to, you know, it cuts you on the nodes of burnout and all these other things. And before you know it, you're actually creating very meaningful relationships with others out there. And the BA challenge is full of those experts, as you can clearly see. People get to connect at very fundamental levels, and those connections are very important in life. As we say, we walk through this life together, no man's left behind, and that's what the BA does. So it's not money. If anything, we've been a bit too careless about that age, but it says when you get your eyes off what you're chasing and you do other things, money and all these other things will come in as a byproduct. If you go out there to seek meaningful connections with your friends that are legit and with honesty, as our experts have said here, then all these other things come into play as byproducts of what you've set off to do. We leave ourselves open. As I said, the doors are open, and the BA challenge is that home that's absolutely you know, cool. You know, they talk about good vibes, and inshallah, that's where they decide. If it's not here, then these two things will remain here until the real good vibes and inshallah arrive. Thank you so much, Patrice.
Well done, succinctly put. And as I assured you guys, we are now opening it up as an open discussion about this issue of tribe, belonging to a tribe, and also the conflicting the aspect of tribe and Bogi. We now get into that particular conversation, and we want to hear from you. We have just seen one of our mental health mechanics, Adela Mayenze, joining us from Singapore. I hope you're well. We would love to hear your voice and hear your thoughts, weighing in and locking step with this particular conversation. So the procedure is simple. If you want to, you know, say your thoughts and offer a penny for your thoughts, you raise up your hand and first come, first serve basis, and take the shortest time possible to shoot your point and make it succinct, and also to interact more and more. And perhaps you can also introduce yourself, your name, the work you do, or what you sell, and why is this discussion important to you. So let's see who's answer up. Perhaps Miss Adela would want to tell us something. Hello. How is the weather there? Miss Adela. Yeah, perhaps if she's still unmuting, I'm seeing Dave, Harry, your hand is up. Take it on.
Hello, guys. Good evening to you all. I hope I'm audible.
Very well, sir. You are.
Yes, my good name is Dr. Arunga. I'm a clinician at the Kenyatta National Hospital, largely majoring in internal medicine. So it's an amazing discussion, and I just like the structuring and the good thought leadership that I've been able to pick up from my contemporaries, Patrice, and visionary leaders such as Byron. And I really look forward to more. I've applied to join the WhatsApp group, and I look forward to the amazing programs. In my clinical practice, I've largely had to deal with a lot of mental health issues. And as late as yesterday, one of my medical colleagues even committed suicide to this effect. And I know, similar to the military structures and military leadership, it doesn't fall so far behind to what we experience in healthcare, in medicine, in medical practice. And I was really interested to hear how the conversation is going to pan out and how we could help this particular affected people. Mental health is a real issue. Unfortunately, we come from a culture setup where it is very difficult to appreciate what mental wellness actually means, what it is, what is practicing mental wellness supposed to look like. And there's a huge knowledge gap, and I see this materializing every day in so many different professions. I've taken an initiative, an affirmative action, and I've reached out to young people who experience a lot of mental health challenges times. The current goings on in the country, as Byron has thoughtfully appreciated. And yeah, so I ended up overnight with a group of almost 800 young people who are struggling with mental unemployment. And these are people who personally I've never met, I've never really interacted with. So that leads me to community building and finding your tribe. And how do I, coalesce these many people whom, their faces are behind the screens to really appreciate that ethos, build their mental health, help them build their career and professional development. So I wanted to put it to the specialist. I know there's a counselor here, and to Byron's leadership to just give a few thoughts on the same. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dave Arunga, and I'm very humbled to host you. He is the chair of, or rather the president of Kenya National Chamber of Commerce, University of Nairobi chapter. So I'm very humbled to see you after such a long time and hearing your voice. Thank you so much for, again, your very deep insights, and may the soul of our colleague and comrade who took his life yesterday in the University of Nairobi, KNH, rest in eternal peace. Any more reactions before perhaps Ms. Nancy reacts to Dave's concerns? Faith, okay. Faith Treatment and Rehabilitation Center. Take your time. You can unmute and proceed on with your submissions. Faith? Okay. Perhaps if she's still dealing with that, or he is still dealing with that, any more reactions from the audience? Faith, if you could just unmute and speak to us, that would be so kind of you. All right. As we wait for any other reaction, let's, Nancy, perhaps you can proceed on to address, Dev's submissions. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very, very much, Patrice. And I would like to just make a comment on the question that Daktari has raised. First, September is a Suicide Awareness Month, and the theme for this year is changing the narrative. And the reason the WHO has this theme is because the idea, it aims at raising the awareness about the importance of reducing the stigma and encouraging people to have conversations so that we're able to curb the rise of suicide cases. Now, when you look at the reasons why people commit suicide, they vary. And some could be quite cognitive, that cognitive means you can see them. They're going through the mind of the person who is thinking through them. And so they have, what happens is that either they're going through so much that it distorts how the outlook they have about life, and that affects how they carry on with their own lives. And this conversation around the tribe means sometimes people lead to self-isolation, unable to express the things they are going through, or thinking that what they're going through is so unique to themselves that other people are going to see them in a certain different way, and therefore they hold back. Stigma. So the reason why people don't come is fear to be judged, or people will think they're snap out of it. Why can't you just snap out of it? And they don't even know the how. Or people will be like, especially if it's a man, you need to man up, because men in the African setting are supposed to be stoic. So with all these, sometimes you can
they
hear.
say mwanaume ni effort in our community.
Yeah, so this stoicism is what is killing a lot of our male gender, because even a child, a young boy, will cry and they are told when mwanaume nyamaza. Like, men are not supposed to express their emotions. So sometimes when you look at the reasons for suicide, they could have everything to do with a mental health condition. They could actually be going through a mental health condition, either diagnosed or undiagnosed, which could be depression or anxiety, or any other mental health condition. They could be bipolar, they could schizo, whether diagnosed or undiagnosed. Other than that, they could also be having some emotional or psychological problems. And in these cases where I'm saying things that we hold within ourselves that we are not talking about is what sometimes eats us. It's our cancer. Hopelessness. So you have this job that has imekatika, and you're the breadwinner, your family is in town, your wife is not working, you have a small child, or the kids are in school, and all this change of in lifestyle just becomes too overwhelming. Feeling the burden. You're providing for your family, nuclear family, extended family, everybody, and you have nothing for yourself. Some of us have traumas we've carried from our childhood and other traumas that we have picked along the way. They're still unresolved. Yeah, it could be that abuse, it could be neglect, it could be, then you keep seeing that misfortunes keep following you until you're like, you know what, man, this is where it ends. And let me tell you, by the time someone feels the need to let go, they have gotten to a point of this pain. It's not them, they are hurting themselves. I know you've heard statements where people say, any that person could not think about the people he's leaving behind. These people are never selfish. They do not think in that selfish way. What is usually happening to them is the pain is too immense. They're looking for a way out. Now, you see, the way out is that pain can't just pop and leave. So it is the whole life that gets taken away. So the idea is not to punish the people they have left. To them, they were looking for a solution. And this is where we need to listen to what sometimes is not being said by people we love. When we start to see them withdrawing, going into isolation, starting saying, kuna siku mtanitafuta mnikose. Sometimes they start by saying some such innocent statements na tunawachekelea. So sometimes it's what is not being said is what we need to listen to. Sometimes someone who was jovial all of a sudden is withdrawing and you're like, itapita tu. Even this one, economic situation iko kwa kila mtu. But it affects us because again, our temperaments, our personality are all different. So I think for us, if we are talking about keeping a tribe, we need to start with you who is listening to me. Point at yourself, me. I need to be the first person as a change agent that we stop criminalizing people who feel how they feel and not telling them to snap out of it. They are feeling it. They need a tribe that understands them. So can we try to accommodate? And if we do not know how to deal, please refer. Please talk to someone who can help someone to believe in someone. But when it happens, it's a sad situation. Back to you, Patrice.
Thank you. And that was a first ball. But then some of us in our young community, tukisema ukitutafuta utatukosa, some of us are applying for visas and green cards just to throw in a jibe in this very serious discussion. Faith, you had raised your hand, and I see now you've regained control of your technological devices. So perhaps if you would take it on and proceed on with your.
Good afternoon. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, so I'm not Faith. I'm not female. So I'm John. Actually, Councillor Kerry is my colleague. So we are at Faith Treatment and Rehabilitation Center. We treat and prevent mental illnesses and addiction. And I totally agree with what Councillor Nancy has said. And I also want to add that on the issue of joining or forming a tribe, we also need to be careful that we join tribes that are progressive, that are healthy, that are constructive. For example, if I may give an example, addicts join tribes that are not healthy, you see, and they even believe that, oh, wanapendana sana, but then to me that is negative, ni mapenzi negative, because most of what they do when they are abusing those drugs is not constructive. It kills their destiny. It spoils their potential. So we need to be very, very careful that we don't join negative tribes.
Very well done, John, and thank you so much for such a blessing and a job you are doing to rehabilitate and give hope where hope had diminished long ago and light one candle where one has been fading. On to more reactions. I see my friend Evans Wafula. You can take it on.
Thank you, Patrice, for giving me this opportunity. So I have a question for John, who has specialized on addiction. I have this problem with rehabilitation centers. I don't know if I'm the one who is not well informed. Okay, my problem with rehabilitation centers is these addicts, they are usually forced to go to the rehabilitation centers by families. But so when they go to the rehabilitation centers, they usually get clean. Then they are released back into society to integrate, but they were forced to go there. So you get most of the time they just go back to their old habits because no one is following up on them. They are grown-up people, and if they want to abuse drugs, you can't do anything to prevent that. So how do you, John, and your team handle that? Because getting away from addiction is really hard. So can you please help me understand?
John, without much ado, you can take it on head on.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
And Evans, thank you for your concern. Okay, we as rehabilitation centers, we do know that addiction is a disease one, and it is a disease that is characterized by so many things. And one of the things that characterizes addiction is denial. So this denial makes an individual not to agree that he has an illness. And that's when now it comes to a point whereby, because we don't want to lose this person because of the drugs that he's using, we can take him somewhere safe so that he stays away from his drug of choice and get some treatment. And treatment in rehabilitation centers is not that cheap again. So these people, the family, is doing this to help the person. It's not to punish him or anything. And most of them, the people who come unwillingly, or those people who come involuntarily, you find most of them recover well than those people who come voluntarily. Because after some time, they regain their health. And when they regain their health, it now dawns in them that this is a good thing, this is a good process that has been done to me. And I want to continue this life, this new life that I have found. So it's more of trying to save a life when the family does that. And for those people who go back to using, it also depends with the treatment that they have gone through, because treatments are diverse. So, and also an individual and his abilities to cope, and also his abilities to appreciate whatever has been done to him or her. So it's more of saving a life, and after saving a life, waiting for that person to gain insight. When that person gains insight, if he's a clever person, he'll never go back to where he was. And we are just here to save lives, and we are here to help individuals who are suffering out there. It's not about punishment. It's not about any harm or any malice. We're just helping individuals. Like I have a person that even his family members feared to bring him in the rehab because the state he was in, he was yellowing. He's a black person, but he had come to a point that he's yellowing. So this yellowing, we call it jaundice. Yeah, the liver has been affected highly. So what we are supposed to do at that point, we're supposed to help this person. So they had to take him first for detoxification, and they bring him. I think they bring him this week or next week, somewhere. But they are saving the life of this person. The person doesn't know that he has the disease. The person is living his life, he's enjoying life, but in the real sense, when addiction creeps in, it eats you up. So before waiting for this person to die, so that now we can say that we were supposed to take him to the rehab, we were supposed to do something about the person, sometimes they are forced. And I think around 90% of the people go to rehabs unwillingly. And 10% now are volunteer to go to rehabs. I hope that is clear to you.
Thank you. In more succinct terms, Evans, what Councillor Kiari is saying that rehab centers don't want repeat clients. They want to always deal with people and they go, but circumstances also present themselves. And I see Bernadette has raised his hand. Perhaps you could also take it on. Before we now come in with the other session of your final comments and your final submissions. Thank you.
Yes, thanks a lot, Patrice. I feel we were pretty much just calling your attention to the element of time. We have a few minutes to go, and so, yes, but I wanted to really react to Dr. Rungas, and thanks a lot, Dr. for, raising very fundamental questions and as well pretty much mirroring what also happens in other organizations that are high reliability. Like ourselves in the army. And allow me first of all to condole with family, friends of the Daktari that you guys lost to suicide. And as Nancy also said, part of why we are getting it wrong in the first place is that we are criminalizing a disease or a condition. So in which case, and quite proudly a certain in, let's say, a tribe, let's now call it a tribe, that faced up to the committee, the Senate committee in charge of labor and social welfare, when we were crafting the veterans bill, and which part of which, of course, was the part of that panel was Major Retired Wairimu Kuria, who's the first psychologist in the army, a lady that you'd love to meet. In terms of how the wording, of course, was getting crafted and weaved together. And part of what you'll agree with me is that suicide is not, you've also called people committing suicide, because that's criminalizing it. I think our laws are still very punitive as to how we treat people who make attempts at taking their own lives. So that said, someone in the stature and form of a doctor who, the society would look at it and think, you guys are immune. You got immunized against these other problems that are affecting us as regards health or pretty much the ravages of disease and all disorders. To have someone of that stature actually take their own lives, then it means that something quite serious is happening and that no one is immune. And I'll tell you, buddy, in 2017, I lost a personal friend to suicide as well. And this is after combat experiences. He went through quite a debilitating, period where, he was called all sorts of names. You are branded as someone who's indisciplined, especially in our quarters, you're indisciplined. You are mad, and there's all these things. And so the treatment that was slapped against that was, in a sense, and you can suspect it already, punishment. So the punishment in the army is you are charged, and so you're either your rank, you're suffering in terms of rank and promotions, you don't get that, and because you get a branding, a permanent branding. Then that officer was charged. That person into a domestics, and so people are looking at symptoms and they're laying charges on those symptoms, which in a sense again works very counterintuitive to someone's career and reward systems within the organization. If anything, they are disrewarded, if there's such a word. So ideally, this affected my friend far too much, to a point when, of course, personally I left, and I also went down with post-traumatic stress disorder. I went down with TBI. I just found out the other day. So I've been battling, basically, it's really gone down, but it's an ongoing war, mild traumatic brain injury, fell off some helicopter and stuff like that. So as Kiaria said, you do not know, when you're going through, when you're in the darkest of holes with post-traumatic stress disorder, like I did, or TBI, or maybe acute stress, you don't know. You are reeling in a completely different inertia. You're going south, the whole world is going a different direction, and you don't know. So it takes, and that's why when you're talking about the common interests, I was very keen to pick a few things out of it, because ideally when you're talking common interests, and Kerry has talked about it, the negative kind of collisions, John, that you will, in terms of your coping mechanisms, you will coalesce around people who are also going south. You can't get a friend without being one. And so again, if you're an enemy, if you're a bad person, you'll also just coalesce around. So the human social mirroring effect. So that meant that a lot of things will actually continue to go south and go, to the doldrums, to a point where you hit the rock bottom. So that's what happens in the society today. And especially when you don't have the society that is woke to the effects of mental illnesses, to a point where they're able to see it, relevantly call it for what it is, and be of help adequately and, of course, effectively. So that said, because you asked particular questions as to the number of guys who flooded your court, 800 youths, we have those. If the BA challenge had a billion shillings sat in our account, literally we'd carry the whole world, because we are awake to the problems affecting the society. And if you were to ask us, in every event that we go to, we carry our tribe along. You'll face, we are doing the Elephant Hill of the Sunday, but you can safely assume that the rest of the officials that are within the BA pay no coin to actually get there. And the monies that we get, let's assume, for taking people out and to actually help people to get waded to the trails or the challenges that they go to. For us, it's not a hike; it's a hike with a difference. We carry our psychologists with us. We carry our sports people with us. We carry our fitness people with us. We carry the relevant officials within the BA. And those things come from resources that are actually from our own pockets. So you can start to imagine. So if we had, and this is not about money now, this is about us going out there to try to create conditions for people to actually relevantly relate with each other at a level that is high up there, so that they also become a multiply effect in and of themselves to help the society live easier. If you ask me again, Dave, we have mentorship programs within the BA Challenge, and the chief finance for the BA Challenge, Irene, takes care of the ladies on that side, and you can safely assume that myself, a man, we use our homes and we take care of the boys, the men, and we create safe spaces. And what we do is we use our homes to have people coalesce. We change a sambuzi and we do some, refreshments, and people can pretty much just have conversations, because the psychologists have said it here, and we know it, and I know it from my own story. Storytelling for mental wellness, so for hope, healing, and harmony. And I attended one of the events that was organized by Mayafia. Nancy is here, which was the chief guest, which was the second lady of the Republic of Kenya. And the society that we belonged in at the beginning just talked. We just spoke and listened to each other. And that's what we are lacking today. Right about now, if you have to speak to someone, it's very shallow conversations. So that's why you don't go to the point where we are able to diagnose each and every, each other's conditions and be of help. Because they say, again, a problem half shared, a problem half solved. So from where I sit, I can sure tell, and I'm committing here because I've talked to my team on the side a little bit, that we'll be able to, we're happy to have that group. You know how, when you talk about the starfish theory, you go to the beach and there was this starfish that are, spread all the way to the beach, and there was an old man and some young man, and some guy was trying to just pick one fish at a time and drop them back into the ocean because they are really suffocating and all, exposed from the water. And someone said, you're not going to do this to 1 million fishes. You're not going to succeed. But they said, no, one by one, I'm changing a situation. So one starfish at a time. So what we can do with the 800, and I'm really happy the youths are coming forward. What the youths are, and again, the society as a whole is going through, we are really in such a bad inertia. We don't have that brother's keeper thing going for us. And so we are, like Patrice said, we are trees in the forest. We are alone together. So the fact that we are able to actually just have these people coalesce around a common subject and have some people stories where we began from and what we became over time, that in itself will set them on the path to recovery. We may not create jobs overnight, but we can fix them with correct mindsets. And if you are to drag someone out of the line of fire, that they're not taking their own lives tomorrow, we will have won a game bit by bit. So my idea would be that we keep this group, start to have some coalition going for ourselves, start to have some tribe. And what we'll do over time is we'll be able to take group by group, bit by bit, go to open spaces like when we have our events, they may say during Saturdays, we have fitness clinics. We can have people come in and we'll be able to see what resources we have and sponsor them through the gates, because that 100 shillings that we pay at the Karura or Arboretum, they may not have it. So as long as they're able to bring themselves, we'll be able to summon resources and say, we can sponsor like 100 guys. And you never know how much that will do to those 100 when they leave after having trained with other people, it's a fitness clinic, and after having listened to our psychologists who will be gracious enough to come from that perspective of professional support, much as we also sharing our stories. Because listen, when we were coming up, the society didn't have all these professionals. The society didn't have professional army guys. The society didn't have professional special forces operators like myself. The society just had people who are able to belong in a tribe, belong in a society, and who are looking after each other. And when someone was quiet, they were able to say, oh, let's go visit Baba so-and-so. When someone was reading about the national, they say, oh, that person is not doing too well. So that is the onset. And I feel part of what we do and the duty of care would be us to come together, ask those hard questions, speak and communicate very honestly and clearly. And for those who are not able to, again, we face, we build those bridges, because as I said at the beginning, part of what I've seen personally, even in my own family, when I was going down with all this, now my own sisters, these days they say, you could have died without us knowing, man, and they very easily without us knowing. So let's build those bridges even when they're quiet and down and out, because not any time do you find people who also know each other, who have the self-awareness as much as we do today. So let's reach out, let's build bridges, and let's be a brother's keeper meaningfully. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for that well-elaborate submission, and again, taking into account the concerns that Dave has. Now that we are to the tail end of this particular webinar, let me bring in Nancy with our final submissions, and as well, I hear she has a cherry on top for us. So Nancy, may you wow us.
Okay, you guys are exciting me. I didn't know you have my poster right there, and this is interesting. Well, that's my tribe. So every year I have an annual storytelling summit, and it's usually to bring people to share their experiences with mental health. And Byron has been with me in the previous one, which he talked about, where the second lady was our chief guest. So this year we just decided to go ladies only. We are creating a space for them to share their lived experiences with a myriad of mental health issues. And we have wonderful guests in this meeting. We have Muthoni Mokiri Masawe Japani, Terry Moshiri, Kewopa, that is Kenya Women Parliamentarians, LSK, Fida Thiambo will be there representing. Well, Ida Odinga has this evening confirmed being our chief guest. So it's going to be an event where we're bringing people to just keep talking about this. I want you to listen to someone else's something you're struggling with. Remember what I said, putting into words your emotions. You're not able to tell this that I'm struggling with. And then when someone else speaks about it and their journey, you're like, I get it now. And the other thing is, so after that, what? We also tell you, where do you find the help? So that's how we're going to create our own tribes that are going to be working with each other and supporting one another. Ladies, this is for you. If you didn't see our earlier post, we had an offer running up to end of August. Now this is the regular. Keep checking whether we have offers in between. But so far we are 50% taken. So book your slot and let's see you there. So to Dr. David, I would also want to say I'm very particular about the wellness of teenagers and young adults, and that's the cohort I also work with. So in case you need partnership and support, you can count on me. And my sincere condolences to the fifth year medical student you lost. I know this is a hard time, and may you guys be consoled. Thank you.
Very well done.
And for that opportunity, I'm excited that you guys considered this. Thank you.
Very well done, Nancy. And for now, we are seeing the 2/3 gender rule is now not going to apply. We are very jealous as men, but I know you shall get some few backdoor seats. For some of us esteemed men, please miss that event to also listen to the other story that is coming up. Now, before I give Councillor Kerry, and I wish you all the best, Nancy, onto that, and I know it shall be, end in prayer. Before I bring Councillor Kerry with his final question, Sir David, in a minute or so, and be as short and as quick, perhaps your rejoinder could be.
Yes, I just wanted to thank you guys, and I'm looking forward to take up Nancy.
All right, sure.
And probably I could also invite Byron later. On partnerships, I'll be spawning, since it's Suicide Prevention Month, I'll be spawning an event which I hope will be targeted to the fellow medical practitioners. I'll be looking forward to unpack the suicide prevention strategy by the Ministry of Health, 2021 to 2026. So through maybe Patrice, I will be able to connect with you and we can discuss how we can put together a comprehensive program to that effect. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let us keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Very well done, Dave, and you've been short and quick like a lightning and a thunderbolt. Now, Kiari, in a minute or so, you are the one who is standing between us and supper. So your final submission, sir, and perhaps a penny for our thoughts.
Okay, thank you very much, Patrice. First, I appreciate this platform because we are able to share, we are able to talk about issues that are affecting our society. So what I can say is that it's good for us to create tribes that are supportive, as we have said. We are also called to know ourselves and also to understand what we stand for and what we value as individuals, so that now we can know who to attract to our circle. And in these circles, let us analyze what they are giving us. And when you analyze what they are giving us, like in this platform that we have, in this family of BA, I understand it's about creation of internal well-being. So the creation of internal well-being brings about even the whole holistic approach of wellness. So we keep on creating new tribes and also creating tribes that will support us as individuals. And the thing that I can say, I've heard about the suicide case and also the people who came for support because they have challenges, mental challenges. I would assure those people maybe it's good for them that they have tried to come up together. They have tried to form a tribe. That is the start. So each and every person should know where to start. You just get to know the people who are like-minded, who think like you, and now from there you'll be able now to grow with those people. And never die alone, because when you die alone, we have lost a soul, and that soul might be very useful in the future. So let us save our future by coming together and focusing on the productivity. Those traits that are productive to us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Councillor Kiarie, psychologist Nancy, and Commander Byron for always heeding to our call for this webinar. It's always exciting and impactful to bring you in because you turn very complex ideas into very digestible nuggets, and everybody always leaves here more better and braver than they actually came in. Being a Suicide Prevention Month, next week on Tuesday, which will be a Suicide Prevention Observation Day, we will be running a similar website from 7 to 8:30, 8:45, and we hope to bring a very deep-seated and deep-rooted panelist for that matter to help us unpack the complex idea of suicide, and then we also get into the legalese of the word suicide, decriminalization of the word suicide, and all the nuances that surround the aspect of suicide. And I hope it would be our very first endeavor with Sadev from the University of Nairobi and all these people, given that we are all doing something beautiful to change this world. So thank you so much for taking your very valuable time to join this particular webinar. We don't take it for granted. We love you and we wish you to always keep it here, because when you keep it here, you will always go back home braver and more cleverer than you actually come. And there's also the aspect of the Elephant Hill hike. Be sure to join us this Saturday. You will actually see the importance of hiking with us, because hiking with us is a hike with a difference, is a hike that lights hope, and is a hike that creates a better tomorrow than we actually found it. Thank you so much from me to you. Patricia Jongo Tieno, Head of Business Development, the BA Challenge, and it has been a pleasure hosting you. Till next time, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bon appetit for
night.
Okay, bye.
Good night.